Well, let's now turn to a big focus story. The Delhi government will distribute biodecomposers, launch an anti-dust campaign and form 380 teams to impose a cracker ban. All this is part of a 15-point action plan introduced by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and announced today to curb the air pollution menace ahead of the winters. The Chief Minister said that when winter arrives, the city witness a rise in pollution and all preparations are now in place to fight this menace. In fact, a 24/7 green war room would be operational from 3rd of October as well, where a 9-member expert would undertake constant vigil and analysis to identify pollutants and curb the menace, claiming that pollution has reduced due to the efforts of the Delhi government. The Chief Minister also claimed that the numbers have come down since 2017. However, we are going to show you those numbers, what we have access from the Central Pollution Board, to show you whether the numbers have indeed decreased or not. And take a look at that. Delhi AQI level post-Diwali 2021 is 464 now. And it has actually increased. It has got worse. 2020, it was 414. 2019, 337. 2018, 281. 2017, it was, of course, 319. And you can see the severity level. When we say poor or very poor or severe, it has health consequences, direct consequences in a person's, it will have, in fact, implications of health adverse effects. So in terms of what the Chief Minister said of the decline and what we actually see, there is a huge difference. So let's also now listen into what the Chief Minister now said about the 15-point charter that he announced today.
जब तक हम सारे मिलके कदम नहीं उठाएंगे, कंधे से कंधा मिला के लड़ाई नहीं लड़ेंगे, तब तक सफल नहीं होंगे। तो हमारा प्रयास रहेगा, हम भारत सरकार के साथ मिलके, CAQM के साथ मिलके, NCR के सभी राज्यों के साथ मिलके प्रदूषण को कम करने की कोशिश करेंगे। मेरी सभी पड़ोसी राज्यों से निवेदन है कि जितने व्हीकल दिल्ली में आते हैं वहां से कोशिश करें वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा या तो CNG हों या इलेक्ट्रिक हों।
So what is the 15-point charter then? Here is what it is. It will deploy Parali decomposer. Now this is with regards to stubble burning, which has been a contributor, a pollutant for the city of Delhi. Anti-dust campaign, which will of course address the issue of vehicular pollution as well, with anti-smog guns and sweeping machines. We are told there will be a waste burning ban. Industrial pollution curbs will be in place. There will be a cracker ban in place, real-time source where there will be a monitoring of air quality in real time and making forecasts. All of that has been put in place. Paryavaran Mitras, and these actually will be about the volunteers, the 3,500 volunteers who will actually look at the issue of the pollutants and the defaulters. E-waste park, this is a e-waste park to process electronic waste. And then, of course, you have green cover, planting of trees, the green war room, which I mentioned earlier, Green Delhi app, and the identification of pollution hotspots. Last but not the least, the graded response action plan, the GRAP. So this is the 15-point action plan or charter, which is Arvind Kejriwal's winter action plan for curbing pollution. The fact of the matter is, the pollutants that have contributed the most, let's put that out as well, which are the major pollutants for the city of Delhi. Vehicular pollution more than 50%, industrial pollution 9.9 to 13.7%, construction 6.7 to 7.9%, waste burning 4.6 to 4.9%, road dust between 3.6 to 4%, and others, including household pollution, 12.5 to 13.5%. This has been through a study conducted in 2021 by the Center for Science and Environment that has identified the major pollutants. Does the charter address all of these pollutants? Yes, to a large extent it has. And therefore, there is hope now that a certain system has been put in place. We'll, however, go across to experts to know whether this will be effective enough. In terms of the most polluted cities in the world, Delhi is top of the list, as those figures, those names are showing you, followed by Kolkata, Kano in Nigeria, Lima in Peru, and Dhaka. So Delhi is still at the top of the list, has the dubious distinction of being the most polluted city in the world, which is why we continue to take up this issue. And today, again, let's have a discussion with top experts joining us today on the program. Kanak Gupta, environmentalist; Kavita Ashok, also an environmentalist and president of Tree for Life NGO. Joining us is Meenal, Pathak, who is the citizen's voice in the panel today. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us here on The Big Focus. I want to, in fact, put this question to all the panelists. Kanak Gupta, you first. You must have seen this 15-point charter. And from what we understand, and that is why I took pains to explain to our viewers the pollutants that has been, the contributors for the pollution menace in Delhi. And now this entire plan that is being put in place, do you think it adequately addresses ahead of time, this time around, the winter pollution issue?
So first of all, I'm delighted that we are paying focus to pollution. It's very much needed, and we've been talking about it for 7 years now. I'm glad that the Delhi CM wants to bat up front and take the onus. We've seen the plans and we've heard the words many times before as well. It's the implementation and action plan that I'm really very interested to see, because ultimately it becomes a game of political upmanship, which really disturbs me as a common citizen. Look, come peak pollution season, we will focus on closing the schools, and we will have stopgap arrangements such as odd even, which does not work. Smog towers are a joke, they don't work. But I really hope that this action plan which is there addresses the real problems, which is the source of pollution. We are trying to filter out the air. That's not going to help much. We need to focus on it as a year-long problem. You only pointed out on your statistics that the 50% of problem is due to vehicular pollution. We need to look at it all year round, not have a winter action plan and a summer action plan, which we saw this year. We need to understand that we need to collaborate with other states, because the air is not going to stay in one place. The CPCB found out that there are 122 cities in India that have very bad air. We need to have a consolidated plan. We don't need to have an isolated plan. Having said that, I'm an eternal optimist. I really hope that the focus moves away from the Parali, because that's not the only source of pollution, as it was pointed out. I really hope that we go after the source of pollution, and I'm looking forward to the AQI monitors on the construction sites. I'm looking forward to us using more of public transport. I'm looking forward to congestion charges being introduced to reduce, the vehicular movement in the congested New Delhi. Let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to the action
You made
plan.
a very valid point. In fact, I appreciate what you pointed out, that, it doesn't work like that. You can't have a winter pollution plan and a summer pollution plan. There has to be a cohesive plan all year round in place to tackle this issue. On a piecemeal basis, this cannot be handled. Do you agree with that, Kavita Ashok? I also want to tell you what Mr. Gupta pointed out, that vehicular pollution is the biggest demon here. And there's only one point in this 15-point charter which talks about 380 teams that will enforce adherence to pollution under control certificates. That's it. Do you think that this charter also falls short of addressing the problem and really tackling it where it matters the most?
Thank you so much. Air pollution is a perpetual problem. It's like a perennial crop. We cannot address air pollution when we are approaching October. I'm fed up, because whenever we come close to Diwali, we sit on panels, the government comes up with a plan. Every year, the Aam Aadmi Party has been coming up with action plans, 15-point, 13-point, 12-point, and you may have been discussing it for the last, I don't know how many years. And air pollution problem ka solution is not just, whether we pinpoint to vehicles or Parali or construction. See, Parali has to be addressed in harmony with all the neighboring states. Delhi itself alone, or Kejriwal ji alone, cannot solve the Parali problem. The stubble burning problem is not the problem of Delhi state. It has to be an inclusive solution of Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi itself. First this. Secondly, I think let's also look at how waste is being disposed, how construction is going unmonitored. Of course, vehicular pollution is there, but I find it quite, unacceptable. What about the common man? We have this proposal saying that petrol vehicles over 15 years and diesel of over 10 years of usage will not be allowed to run in the city. Tell me how many people, how many Indians can afford a new car every 10 years? I think it's really absurd. Find solution to it. Maybe we can have, a fuel which is more friendly, or e-vehicles. Let's look at cleaner options, cleaner fuels, instead of telling the person, I have a 10-year-old car, you tell me today you can't drive it from tomorrow. I'm sorry to say, even I cannot afford one new car every 10 years in a span. So how can a poor person afford that? Firstly, that I think solution has to be between the states. Let it be inclusive also, because I work on ground level, so I understand that citizens play an important role. It has to be inclusive responsibility, civic responsibility of the government.
Which is why we have a citizen on the panel, Meenal Pathak will tell us. Right. Meenal ji, the point is that the onus, and Kavita Ashok rightly said, it's not entirely the government's responsibility. There are defaulters among us, let's face it. And also let's give credit where it's due, that there is some amount of seriousness displayed. I would like to take some credit as well, because we've been repeatedly bringing up this issue, hammering this issue time and again, that you cannot have a situation where your national capital is breathing toxic air. People are shifting out of Delhi. There are people who have abandoned their properties, which they have invested with their life savings, because they cannot have their children breathe that toxic air. That is the situation. And it is not as if when people say that media is playing it up, it's for real. So I'll have Meenal Pathak tell us, as a citizen of Delhi, how is it that do you really agree? First of all, the CM believes that the situation has improved from 2017. We have figures that does not quite substantiate that. As a resident, what is your view? Please unmute yourself, Meenal.
Yeah, so I cannot agree more to what you just said, because we have been seriously thinking about creating a winter home where you can literally take our small kids, because it is every year now for more than 5 years that, kids cannot breathe. They get choked. In fact, they also are getting asthmatic attack with this. And considering we cannot change our place of work, what we can literally do is just change our place as like where we can work from the winters. But I would, in addition to this, will also say that it's quite a welcoming move that instead of pointing fingers at the neighboring states that it is because of the stubble burning, or because of the Parali pollution that Delhi is getting polluted, we are taking an all-inclusive approach where we are trying to look for a solution where we are joining hands with the neighboring state, because that is also one of the factor. Otherwise, why don't we have it all the year around? Why suddenly in the winters the NCR starts getting choked? So this is one welcoming move. But yes, a lot more needs to be done on the execution side. And I would definitely say that we cannot put the onus of everything on the government. But a lot more can be done as an investment on the,
because you see, there is something called household pollution, and I'll elaborate that in just a bit. There's a caller waiting on the line. That is also a major pollutant. Let me have Rajesh Kumar joining us from Delhi on the phone line. Yes, Mr. Kumar, what is your view? आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे इस पर? आज जो एक 15-point charter announce किया गया है दिल्ली के लिए, क्या आप इससे खुश हैं? दिल्ली के निवासी खुश हैं इससे?
Somewhat, but I am staying in E2 Vasant Kunj, and there is a hill besides that, and every day there is a tire burning around that. We keep complaining on the Khamir app, and there is no action on that. This tire burning and illegal burning of the garbage is creating much more pollution than the busting the crackers or the fires. So I'll request if the authorities can be camped there and can stop the burning of this illegal tire burning in that area.
Okay.
Just you can see the records of the Samir app, green app, or so many people.
So it is not enough to have an app. I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. Kumar. It's not enough to make these announcements. When you speak to real people who are dealing with it, they'll say such and such thing does exist. But even if you register a complaint there, nothing moves. So what is the whole point? You have helplines, no one picks up, nothing moves. So just to announce a helpline, just to announce an app, a green app, so to speak, does not make things better for us. Yes, you wanted to say something, Kavita Ashok?
Yeah, I just wanted to add in that, if you go to the landfill sites, if you go to these mountains of garbage we have in Delhi, they are being burnt unmonitored. So see, that just shows that how responsible we are it's not the citizens' role. This is the state government which is not monitoring what is happening. And we keep blaming on each other. But I really feel that any kind of smog guns, 150, 200 will not suffice, because Delhi is a very, very big city. It's so widespread. What will you do with 150 smog guns? I think we might, if you want to use the smog gun way, you have to put one smog gun in every colony, I think.
Right, but let's also not lose sight of the fact that citizens do have a responsibility. The air conditioners are also pollutants. You can economize, you can think about your environment and do your bit. Having said that, yes, go ahead, please finish.
So I also, because I work, for tree plantation and making the city green. So I feel let's at least ask everyone today on, now that we are on television, that everyone please plant 5 trees in your lifetime. Do something for your city. Just don't fold hands and say, okay, the government is doing, the environmentalist is doing, or media is addressing it. Step up your game. I think everyone
must step up. Very good point. Very well said. I have 2 other callers, interestingly from Bengaluru, but I would like to hear them out. Babu Rao from Bengaluru joining us. Yes, Mr. Babu Rao.
Ma'am, good evening.
Good evening.
And I'm so glad that you are taking up this kind of issues, and that is why I admire Mirror now. I'm 70-year-old. I have lived probably all my life in Bangalore, traveled all over the world. I have been head of a multinational company. I'll give one statistic. 1960, the population of Bangalore was 5 lakhs, number of cars were 5,000. The greenery was 95%. Today, it is 5%. All this discussion is only tinkering and band-aid problems. I will tell you why. I have traveled all over the Europe. Look at Europe, how they have maintained the greenery. They don't allow the cities to overgrow. Today, we are talking about Delhi. Delhi is a problem. But tomorrow it could be Mumbai. Tomorrow it could be Bangalore. It is not just about pollution. You overgrow and Bangalore will become 2 crore. Where is our plan for the next 50 years? A small city like Singapore doesn't have pollution problem. They go vertical, but you look at all around the vertical, it is greenery. There is gateway community.
Yes.
It
So
has to be taken
that
at a
balancing
national level
act
for
is
next
not,
50 years.
activated. If you have a growing population, you need to do certain things to balance out the amount of waste that is generated, the amount of pollutants that is generated. That counterforce is not there. So this is only becoming a one-sided issue where more and more waste generated, more and more pollutants coming into the air, and the tackling forces are not in place. Thank you, Mr. Babu Rao, for joining us, and thank you, Rajesh Kumar from Delhi, for joining us. I have Suresh again from Bengaluru, another caller on the program. Go ahead, Mr. Suresh.
Yeah, I have 3 things to mention to you. The one is, this crop burning should be made punishable, at any cost,
Okay.
Even when I went actually to Delhi in 2015, it was a problem. I couldn't breathe. I'm from Bangalore, okay, and I couldn't breathe. That's the first thing. It should be punishable. The second thing is, bring in at least 50% of the cars should be electric. Make it, force it. There are people who can buy cars. They can also buy electric vehicles. Why they cannot do?
Very important suggestions and good suggestions. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Thank you. I will put that to our experts on the panel. Both are very good suggestions. Mr. Kanak Gupta, do you think, the government, if it really had that political intent, it can do it, right? I mean, it can be a little bit more aggressive about tackling vehicular pollution. Electric cars can, be made as something which is a regular feature, accessible to the common man as well. Do you think these are proposals that are doable and, also making it punishable? Some of these acts, violations, the defaulters must be made to pay for it.
So I strongly believe that incentivize good behavior and penalize bad behavior. I think we need to set those goalposts in place. I am a big fan that there should be congestion charges. I am a big fan that there should be penalties or to the violators all around. I think penalizing only the parali burning is not the solution. You'll need to sensitize way more in advance. If I'm going to say that from 6th of October onwards, I'm going to sensitize my farmers and give them a solution, it's not going to happen because the plans are already in place, what they need to do. We need to incentivize people into buying electric cars or actually provide last mile connectivity on public transport. Look, all of us do not have the luxury of, leaving the city or leaving our jobs or having another second, third, fourth home. But a lot of people who would need last mile connectivity need to be provided with public transport, and that has to be a solution. Not having electric cars alone would be your solution. We aren't living, we are slowly dying, and we need to tackle this problem as a healthcare emergency, pretty much on war footing, just as we've tackled COVID, or we are still tackling COVID. We cannot look at it as isolation. Very good suggestions. The caller before was talking about Bangalore and Bombay coming on the same levels as Delhi. Well, the news flash is that they are pretty much there. The problem is there in 122 cities as identified by the CPCB. We need to look at a consolidated plan. It cannot be isolated.
Yes, and when you talk about that, let's not forget that this time around, Mr. Kejriwal doesn't mention Punjab as, the state that is not doing enough because it's the Aam Aadmi Party government there. Otherwise, the issue is often politicized. In fact, this time I was clear, I'm not going to make this issue political. I'm not going to make it AAP versus BJP because invariably you will find it becomes a state versus center debate. Blaming the neighboring states is another very easy ploy. I have another caller, in fact, on the program. Manohar from Delhi is joining us on the phone line. Yes, Mr. Manohar.
Yeah, the problem is not that only government has to solve it. Like I got solar arrangement for 2 kilowatt since last 7 years, and I have applied through NDPL, that is the monitoring agency, for additional 4 kilowatts. And since 2 months, then nobody bothers.
Okay.
So what Kejriwal will do? Nobody bothers. And the governor is fiddling around in small aspect. Why doesn't he give suggestions on this pollution? What is he doing? Going to the park, which is already developed.
Yes.
It requires governor's intervention. And center should help out, like they are helping Gujarat only.
Okay. Right. So angry citizens, when we open out the phone lines invariably, thank you, Mr. Manohar, for joining us. We always hear, from the citizens, the fact that there is no seriousness in terms of implementing what is put on paper. Even to get solar panels installed, it's a arduous task. It becomes a hassle. Nothing is hassle-free, even if a citizen wants to take a certain initiative. I'll have to give closing words to Meenal, who's with us as a citizen's voice as well. Yes, Meenal ji, go ahead.
So I would say that we really want to see some serious action here with the increase in the deployment of public transport, because if you are trying to ban some vehicles on the road and you're going to play some again odd and even plan, at least people should have something else to hold on to. How are they going to travel with a major chunk of the middle class which has to travel? How are they going to travel from one place to another if there is not enough public transport which is available and which is again on electric? So instead of pushing people to go and buy those electric cars, it would be much better as an option if you provide electric public transport system which is there easily available at everybody's place, okay, not just the main NCR region. Plus, we are also trying to, bring this point to every society, to every RWA, to every sector to start planting more trees. We all understand our responsibility in this whole game as such. But yeah, we need a plan in which we work together for the same.
Right. So a 15-point charter Well, appreciated, Mr. Chief Minister, but you heard the citizens, you heard the experts. There needs to be more seriousness, more attention to the detail and more attention to implementation. Public transport, as Meenal said, and I would endorse that, we need better environment-friendly public transport. That could be a good long-term solution as well. Thanks very much to all the experts for joining us, Mr. Kanak Gupta, Ms. Kavita Ashok, and Meenal Pathak for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.